Pranam Swamiji. This composition is based on Rag Bhopali and programmed in 8-bit rhythm. पाव पड़ूं तोरे श्याम ब्रिज में लौट चलो पाव पड़ूं तोरे श्याम ब्रिज में लौट चलो पाव पड़ूं तोरे श्याम सुने कदम पे ठंडी छैया सुने कदम पे ठंडी छैया खोजे धुन बंसी की व्याकुल हो कर ब्रज न डुबो दे व्याकुल हो कर ब्रज न डुबो दे लहरे जमुना जी की लौट चलो शाम करूं तोरे शाम दूध दही से भरे मटकिया दूध दही से भरे मटकिया तोड़े कौन बिहारी असुवन जल से भरे गगरिया असुवन जल से भरे गगरिया पन घटे पे पनिहारी लौट चलो पाव पड़ूं तोरे श्याम बिलख रही है नंद यशोदा बिलख रही है मात यशोदा नंद जी दुख में खोए अब तो सोच अरे निर्मोही अब तो सोच अरे निर्मोही ब्रज का कण कण रोए लौट चलो पाव पड़ूं तोरे श्याम ब्रिज में लौट चलो पाव पड़ूं तोरे श्याम।
Very nice. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Get ready for Jagaran. Oh, these are all from yesterday's, right? No. So she says, somebody else's question. Okay. Let us see where we are. Can you please explain Dhamma qualities more and how to overcome? Overcome means how to gain them, I suppose. That is what it is. Bahyendra nigraha damaha iti uchyate. The ability to have a say over the indriyas. What are indriyas? Sense organs. And that nigraha, even though it is translated as what? Control, it's not control. Having a say. So, stopping reactivity, that is the first line of this whole journey, Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. First line is stopping reactivity. It's very quick. The tongue lashes. Sometimes the hand also lashes out. And we train it to be able to just be with ourselves. Like even the turtle withdraws its limbs at will. We withdraw the sense organs and do not react in the moment. Then of course the moment passes, drama goes, Rama prevails. Rama means reason, logic, clarity, all this is Rama. And so drama goes, Rama prevails, and then that moment, sometimes it's all about managing that moment. If that moment is managed, then afterwards you can go back and do many things. Then whatever is left over, why didn't I do this, why didn't I say this, what's wrong with me, did that person bully me, all these feelings will be there, and the, what is that called? The upashamana, the processing of those feelings is called shama. Because if we shama and dhamma go together, if we just master dhamma, then it will be like a pressure cooker. And if you keep building the pressure in the pressure cooker, keep building, what will happen? Ah, exactly. It will burst. So the mind also is like that. So every day a certain clearance is required, cleaning. And for the body cleaning we have soap. For the antahkarana we have japa, harinama. That japa helps to keep things in perspective. Nothing is a big deal, really. Especially when it feels like a big deal, it's not a big deal. This is what I have to tell myself. Then Shama Dhamma there, then of course Shraddha comes along, trust, from distrust to trust. And that is the beauty of this Shraddha. It's the journey from distrust to trust. There is one Rathantara Samagana. And that is how it describes this whole journey. All these things come, Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, everything comes. Setum stara, setum Krodhena krodham. Like this. Setum stara. Cross the bridge. What kind of a bridge? A very difficult bridge it is to cross. Dustaran setum stara. And how to cross this bridge? Danena, by giving, cross the difficulty of being not able to give. I'm not able to give, okay? I'm tight-fisted. So how to become a giving person? Slowly I have to pry the hand, finger by finger. By giving, I learn to give. Shraddhaya Shraddham. Shraddhaya Ashraddham stara. Akrodhena Krodham stara. So by Shraddha, by trust, cross distrust. And then by, what is Krodha? By not getting angry, cross anger. Cross anger through kindness, self-kindness, compassion. Anger is very easy to manage actually, because if we understand the source of anger is given very nicely in the Bhagavad Gita as the thwarting of a desire. Sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodho bhijayate. Why kamat krodha? Because that kama is not fulfilled. Unfulfilled kama leads to krodha, and that is what the Bhagavad Gita says. So this is how one practices, what goes contrary to everything that is in the infrastructure. You consciously go against it, even though it is difficult. And then the Samagana promises such a person is Chatura. And the person is Chatura, clever, also Chatura, I think the Turiya, that is also there. That is also called Chatura. So like this, one practices and gains the qualifications. Why do we worship different deities when Ishvara is one? Just for fun. When we know it's all one, see, this is the problem with some theologies. There will be commandments. What is the first commandment? There is only one God. Okay, theek hai. I'm ready to go with that. Then the next thing they say is, therefore, you must not worship other gods. Arey, if there is only one God, how can I worship other gods? That's not even a possibility. So, whatever I worship is Bhagavan. And it's a lot of fun. We like colors. We like lot of, fanfare. We enact everything. This is an enacting culture. We sing, we dance, we pray, we cry, we laugh, we enact everything. That's why psychologists were not very popular in India until recently. This was our psychology. There was always, there was always some way to let go of the pain and the sorrows. Garden variety pains and sorrows. Garden variety neurosis, no problem. You just cry in a festival and everybody says, oh, he or she is so overcome. It's allowed, it's okay. Nobody says anything. You are overwhelmed, you cry, you laugh, you do this. And even there is space for garden variety psychosis, like the whole thing of possessions. And I talked to one woman in the rural South India. She was having all these she said, various gods are visiting me and taking over my body, and she would tell the people what to do and all these things. She had a great following. So then when she was back to herself, I interviewed her. And then the story was that she was in a very, very difficult marriage with a very abusive husband. So the first time it happened, she just did not know what it was. And then she understood that God was giving her an outlet. And God was in a way changing the husband, because the husband now was completely frightened of this phenomenon and behaves himself, does not drink, does not beat her anymore. So, then she said, I don't need to stop because we may go back to his ways. So like this, the culture is like that, because we know everything is one. And if everything is one, then we have a very sophisticated understanding of Ishvara in the tradition. Ishvara invoked through many forms, many functions. And what is that, 33 crores or something like that? And we can have many more, no problem. And new things come. There is in Telangana, Hyderabad, Visa Ganapati. Yeah. Only for American visa. Okay, yeah. Has anybody gone to that temple? Yeah, you went? You got visa? You got visa? Yes. See? Success story right here. Yeah. Now many got visa, but are they in this room? That's the question. Yeah. I'm taking a survey. Yeah. Visa Ganapati. Don't worry about, what is that called? Obstacles. Only obstacle, visa obstacle. What was that? But hardly anybody goes. You will only go for visa. Only people who want to, before they visit American embassy, they will go there. Yeah. And they will just do the offerings. Visa Ganapataye Namaha. That is like that, Balaji is much more general. This is what. That's another Visa Balaji, correct. There is a Visa Balaji, there is a Visa Ganapati, there might be Visa Devi also. We don't know. So we have a very sophisticated understanding. You see, if you want to get my attention, you just have to tap on the shoulder. You don't have to give me a whole body massage. You just tap me on the shoulder, catch hold of one finger, it's enough. And the whole comes along. Same thing is there with Ishvara. You invoke one small function, one small form. And when the AIDS pandemic was there, then there was one, I don't know if it is still there, outskirts of Bangalore, there was one AIDS Amma. They just crafted the deity, AIDS Amma. Yeah, and then there is, I don't know if there is a Corona Amma. We have to see. Yeah. So this is the beauty. A very sophisticated form of praying. It's very, very profound. And also, the thing is, if Ishvara is one, why do we do this? Because if that one happens to be you, how are you going to invoke? How are you going to pray? So, Ishvara is one, but this is more fun. Yeah. Yeah. Fights. Yeah. Yes. 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 We don't internalize the Arati mantra. Correct. In fact, even this Arati mantra, any Arati mantra, it has all, even the folk songs have Vedanta in them. Yes, yes. So, one thing has everything. Yeah? I'm not able to hear you. यहाँ आके बात करो. हाँ. It's the sentiment of the people. It's the sentiment of the people. Because that invocation is in a sentiment. If you go to Mathura, everybody, especially if you're a new person going to Mathura, you go to Mathura, they will all say, this is the jail that Krishna was born, come with me. And there are 100 jails like that, all over Mathura. they, will, they will say, no, no, there are many, there are many. I have gone to at least 3. And no, you may say 1, but I have gone to 3. Hmm. Yeah, they call you. They call you and say, in my basement, that is where Krishna was born. They say that. I have myself gone. Three, 4 are there like that. So, this is the, what is that? It's the sentiment. It's the sentiment. There is a sentiment, and that sentiment is what is at stake here. You see, if we look at it from the standpoint of some synagogue that was burned, that was destroyed in the medieval ages, and then they want to build a new synagogue, nobody thinks of it as anything different. This is ordinary. So similarly here also there are strong sentiments, and that is what it is. It's not about propaganda, it's the bhakti here. And we look at it only from the standpoint of bhakti. And yes, huh? No? It doesn't matter to us. It doesn't matter in which jail. That's why I gave you the example of those 3 the quote-unquote jails that I was made to visit. You know, that's why I gave that example. For us, it doesn't matter. Even if Rama was not a reality, it doesn't matter. Even if Krishna had not walked on the earth and it's a whole story, it doesn't matter. Because nothing is taken away. Because our concept, our understanding of Ishvara is such that that is how the invocation is made. That is how it is. So we are not interested in historicity. Whether it was historical or mythological, it doesn't matter. I would have happily visited 2 more jails also, no problem. Yeah. So then somebody said, oh, they are just, taking money from you. They didn't take any money from me. They just said, please come visit. It's just in our house only. He was born. I said, okay, no problem. They have that sentiment. And it's okay. Nothing is lost. So that is the idea. How can one ever smile again, knowing that we are stuck in this cycle of rebirth for eternity, indefinitely? And in brackets, sorry for sounding dramatic. Yeah. First, let us smile, okay? Yeah. Let us all smile before I answer the question. Who says you are stuck? You are not stuck. You are not bound. You are free right now also. The samsara is an as though superimposition upon the I, which is free of samsara. The so-called bondage is a notion, not an ocean. So the samsara is just that. Oh, but I feel it. Thankfully, it's a feeling. Even though not very appealing, it is still a feeling. So that feeling we have to work with. And besides, even this feeling is not a doomsday situation. Forever I will be feeling terrible. No, that is why Atmajnanam, that is why camp number 1, camp number 2, camp number 3. Which one is this one? Camp number 4. Yeah. Nothing is lacking. And then when you go home, you can Zoom, you can go on YouTube, you can listen, you can have all the gurus coming out of your ears, going into the ears. So you can have a lot of Shravanam. So it is not a doomsday situation. One is not confined, it is not indefinite. It is indefinite for whom? The cycle of birth, rebirth, and each birth being full of pain and sorrow is indefinite for the person who will not come anywhere near the ashram. For the person who has no desire for Vedanta. For them it is indefinite. Let it be indefinite. They are not bothered. In fact, they are looking forward to the next birth. Because they know many things we can't fulfill in this birth. Oh God, give me a wonderful next birth. They are looking forward to it. Let them. It's okay. So some wheel is going on. You are not part of that cycle. You are not part of that samsara chakra. You are an observer. And when we look at it that way, then things become very easy. What's the difference between right faith? Right faith. What is right faith? Right faith and superstition. Okay. How to distinguish between them? Superstition is a belief. The faith, Shraddha, that we talk about is a belief pending understanding. Go to the teacher. You learn from the teachers. And you see that the teachers don't look sad. That itself is wonderful. The teachers are not looking sad and morose. Imagine if the teachers were saying, I am Ananda, who are also Ananda, we are all Ananda. Then it's not very inspiring. But that is not there. You see people who model that contentment, who model the how to be. And then that's how there is that hope that I too can be like this. That is what is called Shraddha, pending understanding. We don't know how the gurus were before they gained the knowledge, but then we see them as they have gained the knowledge, and we see them contented, non-complaining, non-demanding, self-fulfilled, happy, and then what? Objective. And so what do I want to be? I also want to be non-demanding, objective, uncomplaining person, compassionate person. So they see that as a role model, and so the Shastra Pramana becomes a promise. Name bhaktaha pranashyati, that we saw today, becomes a promise to be fulfilled. I am sure it will be fulfilled, rather than like the, what is that, gecko, lizard that goes. It says. And then when it says that, there is a whole book of what all the lizard charitra, yes, the lizard biography. There is a book. If it falls on the left hand, what will happen? If it falls on the left foot, what will happen? All superstition, Maybe there is some truth to it, but it is purely belief-based. It is not belief pending understanding. If you look at the lizard and then it falls on you, then it is great good fortune. Yes, yeah. But that never happens. Because as you look at the lizard, it also takes a look at you and gets frightened and runs away. And so, and then if it falls on the left side and then the right side, and then to make matters more complicated, women left side and men right side, all this, it's like OMG. It's just too much to keep track of. So that is superstition or a belief. We can't even call it a superstition. That is just a non-verifiable belief. Let us call it a non-verifiable belief. Maybe they've done some research in the lizard kitab. I don't know. It's a non-verifiable belief. Here this is not a belief. You are Brahman is not a belief, thank God. And it is very much verifiable. All you have to do is go to sleep. And then immediately you see there is no duality. So that's the difference, okay? Yeah, nice questions. Is Maya working at cross purposes to Brahman? We saw in chapter 9 how Bhagavan glorifies himself and explains an ideal scenario, but alas, all that is brought to naught by Maya. Kindly explain this contradiction. It's not a contradiction. Okay? Maya is not working at cross purposes with Brahman. Tell me why? Maya is Brahman. Maya is Brahman. Maya is what? Mithya. Mithya is what? Satyam. Yatra yatra mithya, tatra tatra satyam. But I can't say it the other way round. Yatra yatra satyam, tatra tatra, no mithya there. We can see it, pot and clay example. Yatra yatra pot, tatra tatra clay. But you can't say yatra yatra clay, tatra tatra pot. Clay can be in many forms. It can be on the road in a form of a lump. It can be in the form of a Krishna figurine. It can be in the form of big pots, small pots, lid, jug, flower vase, so many things. So from the standpoint of Maya, Brahman is intrinsic to Maya. From the standpoint of Ishvara, Maya is not intrinsic to the understanding of Ishvara or the being of Ishvara. So Maya wreaks havoc not on Ishvara because Maya is Ishvara. Maya wreaks havoc at the level of the Jiva because it morphs into, it manifests as Ajnanam. Ishvara is not subject to Ajnana. How can Ishvara be subject to Ajnanam? That's when we will have this doomsday feeling. Yeah, if Ishvara is subject to Ajnanam, there is no hope. And so there is no Tattvamasi possible. I am that Ishvara who is subject to Ajnanam. What changed? Nothing. So, Maya is a Kalpita Shakti, an as though power. As though power. She is not real, but she is not unreal. A very nice verse in the Viveka Chudamani. Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano bhinnapya bhinnatvi ubhayatmikano. So is she sat? Is she existent? No. See, even in Sanskrit, no is no. Na u, okay? That becomes no. Sat? Na. Then is she asat? Non-existent? No. Or maybe she is a little bit existent and little bit non-existent? No. Is she different from Brahman? No. Is Brahman the same as Maya? No. Is she little bit different and little bit same? No. You can't put a finger on Maya. That's why it becomes scary. But Ishvara is not subject to Maya. When we know, when one knows that one is Ishvara, one has crossed the Avarna Shakti of Maya. Vikshepa continues because it is Bhagavan's Srishti. But it doesn't bother me. Vikshepa doesn't bother me. So Maya is not a parallel reality or something that crosses Ishvara. Based on the teachings of spiritually enlightened people, I practice meditation, recite mantras, and it appears that generally I am able to sustain antahkarana shuddhi. Yay! Wonderful. Still, it appears that coincidences in life are too many, and prarabdha karma is too powerful to evoke too many negative feelings, and depressed state of affairs continues. How do I transform this attitude towards moksha and away from other attitudes? I really, what should I say, commend your candor. This is wonderful to be able to put oneself out and say, I am working hard, I am trying a lot, but I have these areas of difficulty. That itself is a big thing. That is half the battle won. Half the battle is won because I have made this into a social fact. So you please continue to recite the mantras, continue to do this, and continue to do Shravanam. Little more Shravanam is needed because I think you are in the middle of a transformation, a spiritual transformation, or what sometimes is called in modern language growth spurt. So sometimes when one is in the middle of this kind of a change or a growth, it seems like I am taking 3 steps backward and 1 step forward. 3 back, 1 forward. I feel like I'm walking in quicksand. That's very common. And so don't lose heart. Continue to do this and then bring a little more music in your life. That's what I feel you need. Some nice music, some things that you like, which just reverberates the heart and cleanses it. Not heavy metal music, okay? Yeah. I'm talking of some uplifting bhajans, things. Even if you can't sing, doesn't matter. Listen. Mantra chanting, everything is okay. Listen to drums. That's really very, very upbeat. Listen to drums. Percussion does a big wonder on the heart. If you can take up drumming, take up drumming. It really resonates and it stabilizes a lot of things that are going on. So music, drums, and when you're by yourself, just dance, no problem. Just these kinds of ways you bring that joy back, which is there, which is as though eclipsed by the exigencies of, I think, daily living. This is terrible. This is so sad. My son of 11 died of cancer 2 months ago. How to overcome this? It's not something that is going to happen quickly. I'm very, very sorry that you have to endure this. No parent has planned for this. No parent plans to outlive their child. It is really a very difficult karma. Difficult karma. I will tell you something that I saw when I was with Pujya Swamiji. I went to Rajasthan, Jaipur with him, 10-day program. And we were there the whole day, very busy, lots of talks in the morning and evening and in the day, various engagements, people coming, going. It's his His life was just like a big wedding. If you were around him, it was like a huge wedding every single day. And one lady came to me. I was there taking care of a few things with him. And one lady came to me and said that I want audience. Me and my husband, we want to bring our child and do this. I said, I think you should just wait. I asked Swamiji, oh, let her bring it towards the end. Pujya Swamiji said. I said, okay. He said, come towards the last days. He will be able to give you time. He will be able to meet your son. And then I think it was the 7th or the 8th day. She called me and she said, can I come this evening? Swamiji said, yes. So I said, yes, please come this evening. So she and her husband came. No sign of the child. I said, where is the child? We had been hearing about this child, sleeping in the other room. I said, oh, okay, doesn't matter. He's sleeping, and by the time Swamiji comes, she can bring him. And then Swamiji came and sat and then talked to her. And she said, will you please bless my child? Yes. And then she went to the other room where he was sleeping. That's what we were told. And she came back carrying a small box. This big, very nice, ornate box. And then she slowly opened it. There was a beautiful small baby Krishna inside that. And then there was a tiny fan, a tiny feather. She woke him up ceremonially. She said, see, Swamiji is giving you darshan. Swamiji is going to bless you. Swamiji is going to really help you. And you can ask him whatever questions you want. And she went on talking to him as though he was alive and as though he was actually her child. And Swamiji, Swamiji did not even blink. He was rarely surprised. And he immediately knew what was going on. He turned to the husband and they both exchanged a look. And he said to her, your child is very blessed to have you as baby Krishna, he said, is very blessed to have you as the mother. You please continue like this. And if you continue like this, all that is there for you is moksha. Moksha is waiting at the door. You don't have to do anything. This knowledge will come. Everything will come. She started to cry. The husband also started to cry. And they said that their child aged 9 had died due to a freak accident in some lake or something like that at a picnic. And that had, even though that had happened many months ago, maybe even almost a year ago, this is how she was processing the pain. She was not mad. She knew that this was not her child. But this is the beauty of the Hindu culture. There are so many forms of relating to Bhagavan. And she used this all on her own to process this deep, deep, deep pain. I witnessed this. I saw this. It transformed me. It really transformed me. And what I have to offer you, who has put forth this very difficult situation in front of us today, is to honor your son in all the ways that you can. Keep the memory alive. Connect, relate, and do something like a smaraka, some kind of a memorial. Have a memorial where, if you haven't done this already, where all the people who knew him and loved him can come and talk about him. That will be very, very nice. And then also, if you have the financial ability, start a small scholarship. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be a few hundred rupees every year to give to a needy child for something that your son liked to do. Maybe he liked to play a sport. Maybe he was good in a one particular subject. Or maybe he was good in music, whatever it is. So dedicate that scholarship, a small, modest scholarship which you give to a child in need every year. So this way your son remains alive, not only in your heart, but for the whole world to see. That is what I would recommend. In verse 26, ninth chapter, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, etc., how to understand Prayatatmana. Yeah, Prayatatmana, as you have said, Shuddha Antakarana, the one who is having Shuddha Antakarana. So it is Mumukshu Bhakti, or a condition by Bhagavan in addition to offer with devotion. You can't take it as a condition, it's a fact. So the devotion is accompanied naturally by a pure intention. Devotion, when it is there, yes, the purity of intention is always there in the devotion, definitely there. And so, I wouldn't take it as a condition, I would take it as a fact. It may appear like a condition because from where one is, one feels like, okay, I have to acquire devotion and then I have to acquire a Shuddha Antakarana. They seem like two things, but actually it's one thing. When the devotion comes, the Antakarana is relatively clean. And if the Antakarana is not clean, if there are fears, pains, sorrows, dedicate them also to Bhagavan. This is very nice in our culture. Even mad kinds of bhakti we saw in that wonderful story from Shivananda Lahari this morning. Kannappa, that saint's name, the one who offered his eyes one by one to the Lord. And so, this way, what happens here is that there is room for even of various kinds of bhaktis. I don't have to go in a linear way. First I'll have, Artha Bhakti, then I will become Artharthi, like that. That is just a krama that is given. This person was off the book. He was not anywhere in the book of devotion. Completely different kind of devotion he practiced. And so, like this, the intention is what matters. And if my mind has all kinds of restless thoughts, who made the mind? Okay, the answer to any question I ask is Ishvara. All right, yeah. Who made the mind? Ishvara. Who made the emotions? Ishvara. And so if I cannot, I do not have the ability to control the mind, then I am in Ishvara's order. This is what is the order of Ishvara. As long as I think of it as my mind, my small little mind which I'm separate from everybody else, nobody feels like this, I'm the only one with these difficult emotions, then it will become very, very difficult to even handle anything. But if I say that, this mind is an expression of Ishvara, I Ishvaraize the mind. Because, you see, the truth is, nobody is alone. Nobody can be outside Ishvara. It's all within Bhagavan only, within that order. So if I say, I am feeling restless, am I the only one feeling restless? No, restlessness is a feeling that is shared by 8 billion other people in the world. I am feeling sad. Then 8 billion people also say, I have felt sad, I know what sadness is. I am feeling angry. All the people know what anger is. That's why we have the branch of knowledge called psychology. Psychology studies. Psychology is the order of Ishvara. The branch of knowledge called psychology studies Ishvara through the study of the mind. Given this kind of a background, the child will grow up to be angry. It's a law, it's an order. Then I don't feel so bad anymore. Given this background, given a background of neglect and fear, the child will have these issues in adulthood. I saw one cartoon once. The first annual convention of the adult children of normal parents. Normal parents. And what was in the cartoon? A big hall with chairs, and then a podium with chairs and water glass and notes and pen and everything. What was missing? Audience. Nobody was there. No speakers, nobody to attend. This shows what? There is no such thing as normal parents, except maybe in my imagination. Everybody has parents. Everybody has parental issues, whether one remembers them or not. And this is Ishvara. And so, if you Ishvaraize, this is what we do in the meditation. Give the mother the freedom to be who she was, who she is, in my perception. My perception may be wrong. It's okay. But I give the mother the freedom. This is how the father was, father is, in my perception. I give the father the freedom to be who he was, who he is. And so the offloading of the internalization of the emotional mother and the emotional father, the subjective mother and the father. Everybody has two sets of parents, one objective, one internalized, subjective. And that is what I clear. And when I clear that, I see that it is all included in Ishvara. One's grief, one's pains, one's sorrow, it's not outside of Ishvara. And we can say, Tera tujhko arpan, you give it back. You can even fight with Ishvara. Why did you give me this kind of a mind? Take it back. You can do that. You can craft your own devotion. So that is what bhakti is. So prayatatma. Yeah, that's the one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. We'll try and finish them. Adrishta and Drishtaphala. Drishtaphala means seen. Phala, result. Immediate result. Even if you sit quietly and breathe for 5 minutes, even for 5 minutes, after that what happens? You have the immediate result. What is the immediate result? Yeah. Even if you don't feel calm, the people around you feel calm because they don't have to interact with you for the last 5 minutes. Their mood is dramatically improved. Drishtaphalam. Okay? This is Drishtaphalam. And then Adrishta is that which is kept in abeyance and then will fructify later. Later means at Bhagavan's convenience, not at our convenience. It's like that man who ate a lot of some hot chilies and then he suddenly got worried about acidity and ate a tub of ice cream, chased it down with ice cream. But still he had heartburn. And then he said, come on ice cream, where are you? So Adrishta is like that. You can't command when it will come. It is in Ishvara's hands. So that's why sometimes it feels like even though I am doing wonderful things and I am a dharmic person, I am not getting the promotion. I am not getting a raise. I am not getting anything at work. And then to add insult to injury, the neighbor who is not a very dharmic person, or my colleague in the office who is not a great worker, who is a slacker, is getting promotion after promotion. We just see it in a small way. So, with kayika, so there are three kinds of actions, religious actions, or any actions. Kayikam karma, vachikam karma, manasam karma. Kayikam means physical, ritual actions, physicalized action. So like yajna, oh my God, you can't suddenly say I feel like a yajna and sit down. Because you have to buy so many dravyas, materials. You have to buy the offering, you have to buy wood, you have to pick up the wood, and then you have to have ghee. You know, you have to have the butter melted in the baby rays of the morning sun. That means what? In Netherlands and all, they cannot even think of yajna for 10 months of the year, perhaps. So, like this, you have to prepare. And then it's a very big mess. Yeah, it's a very big. When we do homa, it's just like there is like, it's almost like an oil spill afterwards. You have to scrub and clean and you're exhausted. When the Japanese do homa, it's very nice to watch. All the sticks will be the same size, very nicely cut, everything you can measure. And then it is so beautifully arranged. And the ghee ladle will be tiny, bonsai yajna. Okay? And tiny, tiny, very sweet. And no cleanup necessary. Yeah. Flower, everything they will put. They will not miss out anything. But it is so neat and clean. It's just like I was awed when I went to Japan and saw the one yajna. It was very, very nice. Wonderful. But our yajna is not like that. We don't know how to do yajna without oil spill, you know. And then we have to clean up. And after that 3 days we have to be in bed. So that ayasa, that exhaustion means what? There is no drishtaphalam. In fact, you feel like snapping at anybody who comes and asks you to do any one thing. Don't you say, I'm already tired, I've done so much, get out. There is no drishtaphalam, there is no calmness, nothing. But it has created maximum punya that is sitting in the account. That's going to take you to various lokas, perhaps, or even in this loka. Next time you catch a plane, and suddenly they'll come and say, would you like to be upgraded to business class? Yes, okay. This is adrishta. Because you hadn't planned on it. You hadn't paid for business class. Did you pay for business class? No. But somebody comes, suddenly it happens. And then you can't believe yourself. Why me? So many people were there. Why I got the upgrade? Adrishta. Your name was on that seat. So, kayikam karma produces maximum adrishta, minimum drishta phalam. Then vachikam karma means like, when you chant, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, when you chant like that. Some effort is there, but you don't have to go buy flowers, fruits and stand in line and do all these things. You don't have to do that. So less effort. So less drishta phalam. More drishta phalam, because after bhajans you feel uplifted. More drishta phalam than kayikam karma, and then less adrishta. Then manasam karma. Sit and meditate. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. What have you done? And even if you say, what is that, Ratnaih kalpitamasanam himajalaihi snanancha divyambaram. You're saying it in the mind. I'm offering you a throne studded with gems. Did you make the throne studded with gems? Huh? No. It's all mental. You didn't do anything. So, no adrishta, very little adrishta. But then you feel fabulous after coming out of manasa puja or meditation. More drishta phala. This is the adrishta and drishta. Next one. Last time also there were 4. This time also there are 4. Okay. Anyway. So I have seen acronyms: body, senses and mind. Body, mind, senses, BMS. Body, mind, intellect, BMI. Being used to describe anatma. Which is more accurate? Either you can take body, mind, senses, body, mind, intellect, because both are anatma. Both acronyms are anatma. Either one, doesn't matter. What happens after attaining moksha? A. Do we get free from suffering as we didn't get bothered about, as in, we don't get bothered about external issues? Or do we start experiencing ourselves outside the body mind sense complex? Ayyayo, no. Yeah. Not two, okay? Yeah. Because if moksha was having an out of body experience, who will come to the ashram? Tell me. Yeah. Already few takers for Vedanta. If you do homa, 10,000 people will come. If you do a real yajna. But if you say, what? If you say you are doing jnana yajna, not many people come. So, therefore, that means that it's not, it's already, there are many misunderstandings about moksha. On top of that, if one knew that moksha means some kind of, I leave my body, then who will come? Moksha is not thankfully leaving the body. Moksha, as soon as you get moksha, if supposing, I get moksha, finished, gone. Where will be the teachers? And no students, no teachers, no takers. So the first one, what you said, is absolutely correct. You are free of attaching to suffering. You are uninvolved. And so somebody asked, does that mean that I will not have any more problems after Vedanta? No. Vedanta does not make you free of problems. Vedanta makes you have an expanded understanding of yourself, so that you are able to tackle not only your problems but the problems of the entire galaxy without being even perturbed even a little bit. That is Vedanta, that is moksha. Maya Panchaka covers the following: identification with being knowledgeable, identification of body of elements, pedigree, devotee of a certain god. Is there a reason these 4 are picked ahead of other forms of identification? Yeah, because these are common forms that we find. We want to deal with things that people can relate. Vedanta is eminently relatable. So if some identification which one person has in the whole world, one person is attached to their teddy bear at age 52, and if we discuss that person in the Maya Panchakam, nobody else can relate. Everybody else is having body identification, mind identification, identification with degrees, pedigrees, these kinds of identifications one is having. So these are the common ones, where you cut up the gods into this, that and the other. Ishvara is cut up into various deities. These are the things that one is having. So therefore, the common ones which everybody has, because Vedanta is universally applicable. It is timeless and universal. The same Panchakam, if there is some other planet, human-like beings, and if we can communicate with them somehow, we can still teach the same thing. That is how universal it is. So the common ones are taken. Aha, last one. What is the difference between knowledge and experience? Experience is dumb, really. That's all I can say. Experience doesn't talk. I don't mean it in a pejorative way. It doesn't talk. You just have the experience. It's a sensory feeling. Yeah, it is dumb. Then you have to take the experience and go to a guru and say, I had this experience, what does it mean? So the experience begs for knowledge. See? That is the difference. The knowledge of the I is what? It's the knowledge of the I that is always experienced. Even as you're sitting here, you are experiencing I. Aham, aham, aham iti sakshat sakshi rupena bhasate. It keeps shining as you. Aham, 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 I am. Now I am listening. Now I am nodding off. Oh, now I got jerked up again. Now I am listening again. Oh, now my mind is gone away here. I'm looking at something somebody is doing there. Oh, now a phone is ringing. Wonder why they didn't turn it off. Then I come back again to myself. I'm experiencing myself. I'm experiencing everything that's happening in the room. I'm experiencing the fellow beings. I'm experiencing the light, the fan, everything I'm experiencing. There is no dearth of experience. But I'm also experiencing this as what? Atma only. Whenever I say I am experiencing, that experiencer is Satchidanandam Brahma. I don't know that. Therefore, I have to know that. That is basically what we are trying to do here. So the experience needs to be, we are not short of experience. Dream experience, sleep experience, we discuss all this. Waking experience. We discuss experience in the Shastra, but we understand it from the standpoint of Atma Jnana. Finished. Come, he wanted to offer one song. How long is your song? How long is your song? Yeah. Can you make it 2 minutes? Huh? Yeah, please try. How long is your song? 2 minutes, okay. 2-minute songs.
Maybe 3.
Some of the lights we can turn off. We can
Pranam,
enjoy
Swamiji.
the sun. Hari Om.
Actually, we had gone through Maya Panchakam, so just I want to preface that there is one bhajan by Tulsidas, which we are in the premises of the Shiva temple. So the prayer is Shiva Shiva Hoi Prasanna Karudaya. It is in Hindi. I don't know whether all people will understand or not. Maybe you can get conveyed by other people. Shiva Shiva Hoi Prasanna Karudaya Karunamaya Udara Kirti Jau Nijahu Har Maya. So if you pray Shiva, the Maya will. So to get today's Ram Navami, so generally it is said that you should have a Shat Sampatti. So 3.5 crore jap is done. You get that. So to make
Just sing. Just sing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just you can sing with me because I'm bathroom singer. So all stars are over. So I will just sing and you can follow me. It's very plain and
Just
simple.
sing, no following. Just sing, yeah.
Rama 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 Raghunandana Rama Raghunandana Rama 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 Pula Bhushana Rama 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 Raghunandana Rama Raghunandana Rama 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 Kula Bhushana Rama 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 Janki Pate Rama Janki Pate Rama 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 Vimalamate Rama 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 Deenavatsala Rama Bhaktavatsala Ramadas Mane Tuji Agamya Leela Rama 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 Ho Jaya Rama Ho तारी 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 आम्हा हो. रामा 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 हो, जय रामा हो. तारी 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 आम्हा हो. तोडी 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 भवपाश, तोडी भवपाश. अनन्य शरण रामी रामदास. राम 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 जप सीताभिराम, जप सीताभिराम. राम 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 जप सीताभिराम. राजा राम 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 जप सीताभिराम, जप सीताभिराम. राम 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 जप सीताभिराम.
Very nice, wonderful.
You talked about Mirabai yesterday, so it got me. पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो. What happened to me? Huh? बस वस्तु अमोलक दी मेरे गुरु ने, वस्तु अमोलक दी मेरे गुरु ने. I don't know what happened to me. पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो. जन्म जन्म की पूंजी जोड़ी, जन्म जन्म की पूंजी जोड़ी. जग में सभी गवायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने. खर्च न खूटे चोर न लूटे, खर्च न खूटे चोर न लूटे. दिन दिन बढ़त सवायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने. सत की नाव खिवटिया सतगुरु, सत की नाव खिवटिया सतगुरु. भवसागर तर आयो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने. मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर नागर, मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर नागर. हर्ष हर्ष यश गायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने. वस्तु अमोलक दी मेरे सतगुरु, वस्तु अमोलक दी मेरे सतगुरु. कृपा कर अपनायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो, पायो जी मैंने राम रतन धन पायो. थैंक यू.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ॐ. Tomorrow